Alright, Shalom, Shalom. You know, praise and glory to our power. I will jump shot on the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings that hopefully let others have an David. Scattered about the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be. Wherever you may be, to you I say Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. To your brother Mike Allah back into the week to preach the gospel to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Their history, our heritage extends back to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, serving Israel, or Yasharal, we've been on to read the Leviticus of the father of 12 sons. Those 12 sons had sons and daughters in the nation of people that come from those 12 sons. They are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and those respective birds scattered throughout the earth. Those who may look like the bloodline goes back to that pure bloodline, a pure seed line, that of an Israelite. And that scripture has said, the Spirit bear witness with our spirit that we are the sons of the living God. Right? So the Spirit resonates with this truth, all right? Because you may very well be an Israelite, so this gospel is for you. It's for you only. Salvation and deliverance is for you only. All right? So, we'll get to something real quick. All right, something short. Let's see here. All right, matter of fact, let me pull up my Bible here. Go over here. Go to my neighbor. All right. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find another one. I go into this time to time. Actually, not last week, but last camp. Okay, let's start over here. Matter of fact, yeah, let's start over here. Type it in here. Let's go right in here. We're gonna start here. All right. So, going to the book of Revelation. All right. Really of all things, all right, something that was given to us these latter days, all right. As the scripture says, measure out of time diligently within itself. Do not see the part of the sign that these shall know, all right. These are the signs of the time we're in, right. These are the things that are going to happen before the Lord returns. Okay. And this is something heavy to move about the great upon this earth. You know, time to time, in and out, talk about the same topic or a different topic. This is one of those same topics over and over, but coming drought, right? Coming famine, okay? Gold prices restricted, how that affects things, the way people, farmers are getting what they need, and, so on and so forth, right? But you actually may plug those things in and see well. But we're going to start, Revelation chapter 6. And what does it talk about? See, and it says that the testimony of our Lord, our God, is the spirit of prophecy, okay? This is a major prophecy come past, because the Lord says that as we know that His words come forth out of His mouth and return unto Him forth. All right, they're going to accomplish what He said they're going to accomplish. And this is not something new. He's done this over and over and over. It's coming again. All right. So we're going to start Revelation chapter 6 at verse 5. All right. The third seal, famine. Okay. Famine. All right. And it says, let's get a basic. Just a basic Google of what comes up with famine. Famine is the most extreme phase of a food crisis, characterized by widespread extreme food shortages, acute malnutrition, and soaring death rates from starvation and disease. Because we can go right to Lamentations 4. He said extreme food shortages, acute malnutrition. Right, those are part of these things. Right, it is a technical scientific classification rather than just a general term for hunger. See? We go back. So we'll get Lamentations. We're going to read this first. So Revelation chapter 6, verse 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand, right? Which, balances is what they weigh things, right? So, yep, a pair of balances. It also said the yoke, right? The yoke that is put on drought cattle. use of any burden or bondage, as that of slavery, troublesome laws imposed on one, especially the Mosaic law, and the balance a pair of scales. All right, scales, put something on. So you want you use like so many English terminology. So you want this a bunch of apples or something, right? So you had ancient coinage or whatever. So they will weigh the coins with the apples until it evened out on the balance, right? So balancing, right? Because one way is heavier than the other, right? All balance, right? So yeah, so it says, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, right? And 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. All right, this is what let's get this. Let's see if we get this word here. Forgive this thing is moving kind of choppy. I'm gonna pull up right. Man, what was I about to type in? Shoot. I was about to type something in here for you. Man. Just bear with me real quick, because I'm gonna see if I can find something. I don't think they have that version here. Is that it? No, it's not it. Alright, something a little bad. But yeah. So basically I was about to say, so a measure of wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley for a penny. So basically a day's wages, all right? So people are so used to going to the grocery store, all right, taking the money out, taking the card out or whatever, swiping, tapping, all these different things of that nature. Okay, they used to be able to go and just buy things, all right? Well, there's come a time where prices of things are going to be so high, all right, it's going to be damn near impossible to get any food, okay? And if you do, it's definitely going to be 1 or 2 items because it's going to be so expensive. And then furthermore, it's going to come a time where you're not going to be able to get anything at all. Why? Because you're going to need this man's device, all right? You're going to have to conform to his digital system in order to operate in this world, right? By way of his micro-seeded, all right? He wants to implant into your hand, Revelation chapter 13, right? The mark of the beast, okay? You're not going to be able to work. You're not going to be able to pay bills, okay? People like to have fun, all this madness, right? But it takes money to go on a trip to the beach or whatever the case may be, okay? It takes gas in your car to move, all right? So all these things, eventually they're going to make it to where if you don't have his device, you're not able to purchase anything, right, at all, right? It said, like I said, Revelation 13, right, that no one can buy or sell save he can accept those that have the mark of the beast, the RFID micro-seeded, right? This thing is not unheard of, it's not unknown, it's just that some people just don't believe it, right? But it soon, all right, it will become mandatory, right? Mandatory implementation of the RFID microchip that will give these banking families, right, these that run the world, right, full autonomy over every aspect of their life from some remote location. It's not for them. They themselves will not be taking this. It's for them to have control over everyone's life, right, in the earth, okay? And it's deeper than just them implanting and having, in other words, that control, right? It's bigger than just control. Well, how deep does that go, all right? They will have, if you got criminal history, it'll be on the device. They will have access to it, okay? Your medical history is going to be written on the device. When you go into the word mark in Greek, which is karabin, you go to the root word, which is grapho. Grapho means to write. So all your history, your medical history, whatever it is that you have, okay, all your bills, whatever it is, any information about you, age, sex, height, family, everything that you think about concerning you, all right, will be on the device, which is a way of them identifying you, and not only identifying you, but knowing for surety that you are who you say you are. That's why they're taking certain small measures now of like internet access, all right? Changing certain things, all right? This, that, the third thing, all right? Because they want to get it to the point where, all right, they want to make you identify yourself with every single little thing
whether it's major or whether it's minor. They want you to be able to identify yourself, all right? And the ultimate game plan is to drive it towards the microchip, right? So it says, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine, all right? The truth, the prophets have the truth, the spirit of power, Yahweh Shah, shot, all right? Um, so, um, so yeah, so, oh, yeah, I think that's the word I was going to use, all right? Let's see. Inflation. Actually, I was going to push hyperinflation, but I punch inflation. Just like anyway. Inflation. Actually, I just want the definition. So let me go back and type this in. Fine. All right. Inflation is the general increase in the prices of goods and services over time. So a gradual increase. When prices rise, the purchasing power of your money decreases, meaning a single unit of currency buys you less than it did in the past. And are we not experiencing this in real time? Okay, where your dollar, all right, you have to pay more, usually your dollar, just to get, a batch of eggs, right? Okay, you have to pay more. You get, the usual groceries. You would have took $100 in the grocery store, all right, and really, got a good amount of food. You take that same $100 now, and you might get 2 or 3 bags, all right, and that depends on what you're buying, because you may just be, a couple bags of a couple of larger items, all right. You can have more bags depending on if it's a bunch of small things that you're buying, all right. But that $100 buys you a lot less than it did, years ago. Okay, y'all remember, the days of, like potato chips and, little cakes and stuff like that. And it used to be like 25 cents. You go to the store, you get a cake, 25 cents bag of chips. That was actually full. All right, back then, 25 cents. The next thing you know, all right, they're 50 cents. Okay, and then next thing you know, they're still 50 cents, but now the size was smaller. And now these things, are no less than $1, and they're even smaller than they used to be. Okay, so the money that they put into making all this junk, all these products, all right, they get more back, because you have to spend more, all right, to buy that whatever junk food product or whatever. Then it takes them to go through the whole process and get it out on the shelf. Okay, so that was a PR. So person open the bag, it was like 2-3 chips in there. All right, and I was like, damn, imagine being the one to open that bag. But anyways, that's the type of things that happen. All right, you're paying more for whatever product, but you get less of it, or the size of it is smaller. All right, and so we've seen that gradually happen over time here, right here in Babylon the Great. Okay, where the prices of things have risen, but the amount you're receiving is not the same. Okay, so let's go and type in hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is an extremely rapid and out of control increase in prices. So hyperinflation is the same thing, but when it happens quickly, right? Officially defined as an inflation rate exceeding 50% per month. It essentially makes local currency worthless, destroying purchasing power and savings while severely destabilizing the economy. Because that is exactly what the elites have your president right now. The president of the public, he's not running jack. Okay, he's not running nothing. He's just simply a face, all right, that was put there. Okay, people arguing over who should have won, Kamala, and it doesn't matter. Whoever's in the office is a puppet of the elite banking families, all right? They're sitting there as a face, because they don't run anything. All right, these banking families run the earth. They control Babylon the Great, its economy, and so on and so forth. So reading that definition again, hyperinflation is an extremely rapid and out of control increase in prices, officially defined as an inflation rate exceeding 50% per month. It essentially makes local currency worthless. All right, that's what's happening. The American dollar is slowly been increased in its power, destroying purchasing power and savings while severely destabilizing the economy. That's what's happening to the American economy. It is being severely destabilized. All right, how you doing, man? All right, that's what's happening, because the elites want to, break down this economy and get it geared up for their new world order system, all right, which is what we just talked about, the digital system, the microchip, where all paper currency is taken away. Your dollar, your yen, your euro, your pesos, your rubles, your whatever your paper currency is, done away with all over the planet, and everything is going digital. Everything's going to be a digital currency. Okay, this is where they're going to seek to lock you out or try to, force you. All right, put somebody putting an arm lock, they're going to put, a moral lock on you. All right, and they're trying to force you, right, to get you in the triple crossface. Okay, put you in the figure four. All right, by way of what? What they're doing to the economy. People complain to people that are homeless, in cars. People complain about their job and their money. People complain about not even being able to get, jobs. All right, people are complaining about, the prices of everything, the price of oil, gas, food, everything. There's something to complain about here in America. And those things are not going to change. They're not going to be less. They're not going to make you everything. There is no make America great again. Because people don't think about that. All right, that's how it is. That, okay, in Jeremiah. Pull that up. Okay, so you listen to these politicians, and all these individuals, okay, and they're gonna lie to you and mislead you every single time. But here's what the Lord says about Babylon the Great, America, right? Jeremiah, I was gonna start up. Let me get 6 in there. No, let me start at 5. Jeremiah 50:25. For Israel had not been forsaken, Judah of the God, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon. This is called to repentance for the nation of Israel. All right, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off from your iniquity. Flee doesn't mean take your family and hop a flight, across seas and move out the country. Now, if you want to do that, you want to stop it. All right. If you do that, that was just the Lord controlling you to do that in the first place. But you're not going to be able to escape any of the judgments coming upon this earth. You're not going to be able to escape taking trouble. If you're in Israel, you're definitely not going to go anywhere in the world and think that you're going to escape the curses. That's not going to happen. Right. So, this is talking about, moving yourself from the ways of this world, all right, and seeking your power in these last days. So for this is the time of the Lord Yahweh's vengeance. See that vengeance is anger, all right, fury, judgment he's going to bring upon the earth. He will render unto her a recompense, a payback. Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. They made all the earth drunk. Yep, because what? America is a cash cow to the other nations. Other countries can come from all, have, and are currently from all over the world here in Babylon the Great, all right? They do trade by sea, or they come here and they build up businesses and things of that nature, and they make good money, good revenue, all right, off of, the backs of the American citizens, and a lot of that comes right from out of the pockets of the Israelites, okay? Then they're able to build up here, or maybe they want to send their money back home and get it changed to their currency, and they live, rich in their own country, all right? But the money came off the backs of the American people. See? America is nothing but a cash cow to the other countries, okay? And it has been in the seat of power for a long time. But now the Lord, we're coming up upon his 250th year. That's the average lifespan of an empire, okay? So Babylon is at the end of its empire. This is why the elite are trying to switch this to a digital system, okay? But they think that they're going to exceed what the Lord has already put in place on the foundation of the earth, and they're going to rule forever under this digital system. AI is their God, all right? And then people look at them like gods, right? That's what it says. That I am a widow. Michelle, actually, let's talk about more America, but like Isaiah 14. There's another one I can't think of right now. 2 Thessalonians 24. All right, sitting in the seat of the Most High. All right, saying that they are the Most High. Okay, they want to be looked at as God, right? And they want to have complete control. This is why they're putting their flock cameras everywhere, mass surveillance. Okay, still in the playbook from China. You go and research what's going on in China. All right, but really everybody's in on the same thing. All right, on the world stage, people may be fighting one another, but behind the scene, everybody's going to gear up for the same old process: digital currency and microchips. All right, it's all part of the same system. Okay, but they're putting their flock cameras up everywhere. All right, to monitor people. All right, they have other technology that monitors people. All right, your license plate, they can find where you live easily with no problem. They got satellites, all right, that's part of the whole system. They got their data centers that they're building up. That's part of their filter system for all this information that's pouring in for every single, to single out every single individual, to know who everybody is individually. Okay, so all these things are the infrastructure to their new system, which is a digital system. All right. It says Babylon, talk about America, has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. See, if so be, she may be healed. But what did they tell you? Make America great again. But what are the scriptures telling you? We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country. See? For her judgment reaches unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. And the reason why they're going to leave out this place eventually is so the nuclear missiles can be shot over here in World War III. Because America will not make it out of this coming World War. Right? This is the destruction of America that is about to take place, all right, in World War III by the nuclear missiles from the other countries, starting with the number one foe on the other side, all right, which is Russia, all right, spoken about in the scripture, the Medes, Ezekiel 38 chapter, all right, where it says, be thou a guard unto these other nations. And the first one that's mentioned is what? Persia. Who's Persia? Iran, all right? What do you see happening right now? Tension between America and Iran because of the SOI, all right? Like I said, the scripture say the least of the flock should draw them out, okay? These are all things concerning World War III. Prophecy being fulfilled. Ezekiel 38, okay? Russia, all right? The modern day Medes, the Russians, okay? Who took down ancient Babylon, Neo-Babylonian Empire? The Medes and the Russians, the Medes and the Persians, all right? The Medo-Persian Empire. Modern day Medes and the Russians. Modern day Persians are the Iranians, all right? See the same thing playing out. So it says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies, right? It's time for America to be judged for all of its wickedness, okay? And this place will be destroyed in World War III, all right? It will not make it out of World War III, okay? Obviously, the scriptures say otherwise, right? So let me go back over here to, I'm going to read this, you were reading the inflation and hyperinflation, right? I'm going to read hyperinflation again because I got one more I want to punch in. So hyperinflation is an extremely rapid and out of control increase in prices, officially defined as an inflation rate exceeding 50% per month. It essentially makes local currency worthless, destroying purchasing power and savings while severely destabilizing the economy. Yeah, and people have to tap into their savings, their 401ks and all whatever, to do what? To survive, to they had the thing where people were buying now, paying later on food, man. Okay, what kind of madness is this? All right, So this is where this is where the economy is at right now, and that's just the beginning stages of what is known as Jacob's trouble, because this economy is about to get extremely worse to the point where it's going to be all out chaos. Now I got one more. Hold up, I'm reading this real quick. It says, what causes it? Hyperinflation is almost always triggered by a rapid increase in the money supply without a matching expansion in economic growth or production. Okay? Printing, wow, first one listed, printing money. I'm not going to read these. I'm just going to get the bullet points. Printing money, and it says demand pull inflation. So let me type something else in for you. All right, so give me 2 seconds here. We got one more. All right, give me a second. I'm gonna let this thing generate. So what we're gonna pull up here, we pulled up inflation, and we just read hyperinflation. All right, and what is this? All right, now we're gonna one more, which is stagflation. All right, so stagflation. Stagflation is an economic phenomenon characterized by the rare and toxic combination of stagnant economic growth, high unemployment, and high inflation occurring at the same time. So the interesting thing about this is America is actually experiencing all these things right now in real time. So why are they not telling you these things on your TV stations and the news or whatever, because they don't want you to know. They want to keep you asleep. They want to walk you quietly into their new system. They want all hell to break loose, okay? And then bring it to the point where everybody's dying for a solution, and the solution is going to be their market shit. See that? Because let me read this, because America is definitely experiencing all these things right now. Stagflation is an economic phenomenon characterized by the rare and toxic combination of stagnant economic growth, high unemployment, and high inflation occurring at the same time. See that? The term is a portmanteau of stagnation and inflation. It defies traditional economic models like classic Phillips curve theory, which assume that inflation and unemployment move in opposite directions. All right? It says the components of stagflation. Under normal conditions, a slowing economy lowers consumer demand, which causes prices to drop in stagflation. This logic breaks down, forcing citizens to deal with three simultaneous pressures. High inflation, the cost of living rises rapidly, eroding purchasing power. Okay? But a lot of people act like this is not happening. Low economic output, gross domestic product, or GDP. Growth stalls, shrinks, or flattens. High unemployment. Businesses cut production, stop hiring, and lay off workers. All right? So you have that, all right? Ghost jobs and things of that nature. I have that. Where there's an application to fill out online, all right? But, it's not, they have no, they don't have no intention of actually fulfilling the position, okay? Ghost jobs, right? Primary causes. According to macroeconomic analysis on Wikipedia, stagflation is typically triggered by two primary catalysts: supply shocks. What's a major thing happening right now? The Strait of Hormuz, all right? Which we started off talking about that. Strait of Hormuz, okay? Where you have that affecting, diesel fuel. Why is that important? Because the trucks need diesel fuel. So why is that important for the trucks to have diesel fuel? Because they move the product from wherever, the factory or whatever, to the store. So it doesn't matter if you have a restaurant, it doesn't matter if you have a grocery store, a small chain. If those trucks ain't moving, you're not receiving product. And if you're not receiving product, then you're going to have to sell what's in store and then remove your backstock from the back of the store into the front of the store. And once that sells out, a lot of the smaller stores are going to shut down because they're not going to get what they need. Now, of course, the big box stores, the Walmarts, Costco's, and things of that nature, they're probably going to keep running because they're owned by the elite anyways. But we're talking about the smaller places, all right? Those are going to get taken out quickly. And then it's going to come to the point where what? You're going to need to be identified by them in order to go into these big grocery stores. You're going to have that chip, okay? And they're conditioning people for that already by making all these self-checkout counters, which I do enjoy because, it's quick and easy for me, all right? Which I mentioned last time. I mentioned that it seems like the people that don't know what the hell they're doing always want to go to the self-checkout. They hold up the line. So just go to the person at the counter, all right? Leave the self-checkout for people that know what they're doing. But anyways, they're conditioning you with the self-checkout counters and stuff like that. They're conditioning you with the tap for pay, all right? Things of that nature where you have the Google Pay, Apple Pay, stuff like that. They're conditioning you. Self-checkouts where you just, tap or whatever. All those things are quick, fast, and convenient to the point where they're going to finally issue that microchip. And what's going to be tapped? Your hand, all right? Wave of a hand. I can do this, I can do that. I can pay for things, with the wave of a hand, tapping my hand, all right? And that's how they're going to market it to you, all right? What's that called? PR, public relations, all right? A marketing campaign to make you think. It's like this stuff. That's the point of commercials, all right? You don't know you want the Hardee's burger or whatever until they put that big juicy sandwich on there, with piled up with some filthy bacon, all right? And then you get hungry, like, man, I want to eat. And you just saw that commercial, like, you know what? I'm going to go to Hardee's, all right? It's no different, all right? It's all marketing, okay? And so this is how they're marketing it to people, that it's helpful, it's simplified, and it will make your life easier, and so on and so forth, okay? And that's going to travel a lot of people up. So, it says supply shocks, a sudden disruption in the supply of a vital commodity. For instance, the 1973 OPEC oil embargo caused energy prices to skyrocket. This spiked manufacturing and transit costs, forcing companies to both raise shell prices and lay off workers. Conflicting economic policies, harmful interventions such as printing excess currency while simultaneously opposing aggressive tariffs or price controls. Yeah, and America swears that it's broke, right? Every time you turn around, it's sending millions and billions of dollars there. It's definitely going to send money to the SOL, right? But we broke, right? we're in debt and all these different things. It says it can distort market function and stunt business growth while driving prices higher. Why it is a nightmare for policymakers. Oh, actually, I might read this. It says stagflation creates a severe policy dilemma because traditional central bank fixes for one problem actively worsen the other. If a central bank raises interest rates to fight inflation, it makes borrowing expensive, further slowing economic growth and worsening unemployment. You see? That debt. The scripture speak about having a heavy debt, right? Let me pull this up here in Habakkuk chapter 2. Let me see if I can get to the point. Bear with me. All right. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by one, his ways. All right, policies. All right, what he says it goes. Right, laws and things that he passes. All right, what he defines as a way that a person should govern their life. All right, according to him. Right. When I say him, I talk about these so-called small group of so-called elite thinkers. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell. Hell is the grave, death is the grave. And right here it says, and is as death, right? And in Malachi 1, I believe before, it calls him what? The border of wickedness, which ties into the scripture we quoted earlier. Was it Job 9:24? The earth has been given into the hands of the wicked. So it tells you that Esau, Edom, is the wicked of the earth, all right? But he's one of the main people that people want to save, right? Anyways, it says, now to keep it at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathered unto him all nations, and heaped unto him all people. How is that? Well, we can talk about the microchip, see? The individual, all right, that takes this device, they will be under his system, under his control, okay? They'll be tapped into his system, and there's no coming back from that. You take that, okay, you die, all right? Straightforward, right? The Lord's going to delete you in Jacob's trouble, or if you're still alive, all right, regardless of your condition, you will be destroyed by nuclear missiles if you live here in Babylon the Great. There is no coming back from that. If you take the device, there's no coming back from that. So verse 6 says, shall not all these take up a parable against them, and a taunting proverb against them, and say, woe to him that increases that which is not his. Who is that? Esau, Edom. See? He's the one doing this, right? Increasing that which is not his. Okay? He's the one going to the earth. Talking about he's going to take Greenland. Talking about he's going to take Cuba. He already got Venezuela. Talking about he's going to take Baric Island. Okay? And then you can talk about all the places where he has set up shop. All right? In other people's countries, okay? Taking and stealing their resources. All right? Going up and setting up shop. Why? Because it goes back to the forefathers. All right? On Cain. All right? People sitting in the vagabond earth, going out throughout all the four corners of the earth, stealing and killing. Okay? Revelation 6 and 4. There was given unto me great swords to take peace from the earth, so they should kill one another. Who was that blessing given to Esau? Right? The blessing of the sword. That's why he loves guns and stuff like that. All right? Loves bloodshed. All right? He likes war. He likes stealing. All right? So he'll miss nothing to us. Still speaks to us. Yeah, but anyways, yeah. Because, but that's what he's done. All over the earth, going to stealing resources, right? But he's the main man pointing fingers everywhere, okay? You go and steal everything around the world, but then you say the guy that took, candy bar at the store, he's a thief, He stole a whole people from another country, brought them across the border, but everybody else is a thief and terrorist and genocidal, but not you, right? You're a clean slate, right? Shall all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And this word thick clay in the Hebrew is ibatyat, which means heavy debt, right? Pledges, right? Yeah, let's get the word for pledges there. Because I'm be pledges in here, right? Ibatyat, okay? Pledges, weight of pledges. Let's light it all up. I'll get weight of pledges. Heavy debts are straightforward. We'll get weight of pledges. See if a similar thing comes up. So weight of pledges. The term weight of pledges depends on your context. It usually refers to shipping weights for board game or Kickstarter campaigns, time and value calculations in crypto, DeFi, physical carpet specs, or debt metrics. We don't want board games, cryptocurrency, DeFi, and blockchain ecosystems like Guild of Guardians. So this still talk about. So he might not give us anything here, but we got what we want anyway. Heavy debt, all right. And everybody's in debt. Everybody has a debt, all right. Countries have debt, okay. So yeah. So going off what we're reading there, what we read: inflation, hyperinflation, stagflation, and so on and so forth, all right. So he laid himself big claim with his heavy debt, okay? And Esau is seeking to reset this whole system into a digital system, all right? Where there's no more paper currency around the planet, all right? It's going to be obsolete, okay? It's going to be fired, all right? You know, in the wintertime, a lot of people got cash money on hand. It's going to be toilet paper and fire, all right? Paper currency is going to be obsolete because it's going to be digital. Now, how you going to go to your saunas? How you going to go to the beach with your friends? How you going to pay your bills? How you going to go to these restaurants and things of that nature? You're not. Unless you take this man's chip. If you take that man's chip, the Lord's going to destroy you. All right? So this is the tight squeeze he's putting on people. All right? Where it's making it so, all right, these are the stipulations to continue to operate in my world, right? But that's the pressure he's putting, okay? He's basically, as of right now, dog walking people blindly, okay, right into the new system. Okay, because people in their everyday life is more important than the prophecy of the scripture. All right, where we at right now? Okay, or what's soon to come. We're not exactly in it, right? But what's soon to come? Okay. Let me go back over here to. I think we read everything we need to read from there. Yep, bam. So let's go and read something else. Oh, you know what? Let me pull up that Lamentation that I said I was going to pull up. Okay? Because there's about to be not a cube, but a massive famine. Okay? Lamentations 4. Okay? And we talked about what the Spirit of removes. Oh, yeah, I saw just like those things that the Spirit of removes, right? Affecting the oil prices, diesel fuel, all right? So the trucks can't move, okay? The farmers are not receiving the fertilizer that they need, all right? So all these things are bringing forth what? A famine, okay? And those prophets talk about it over and over and over. The average person is not gonna take heed to it. As a matter of fact, let me go over there, back into here real quick. This is a random question which we already know the answer to, but I'm gonna type it anyways. How is the Strait of Hormuz?
You doing a project?
No, man, I'm doing the gospel. That's the Bible.
Oh, let me hear you.
So I'm talking about the famine that's coming right now, all right? You see yourself on that sign somewhere?
Yeah, Haitian.
Haitian.
Yeah, I'm Haitian, bro.
There you go. There's Levi. There's people travel Levi right there. All right, these people right here, all right, these are the 12 tribes of Israel. When we all went into captivity, these were the names that were given to us in the captivity. But you really, the Israelites, all right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, Haitian, Black, West Indian, whatever, these are all just made up names, all right? Like Puerto Rico, the port of riches, all right? When they, you know, when they were living on the island, there was a lot of golden things, but they was all taken, all right, by, you know, white men put them in slavery. So all these names were made up, okay? So, you know, it was separated by Southern Kingdom, Northern Kingdom, because you hear about like so-called Native Americans, all the people that came to the islands, South America, Central America. That was the Northern Kingdom Israelites that came over here, all right? And then the Southern Kingdom, we were brought over here in the transatlantic slave trade, right? So you know, you hear about Creoles, and you know, that was not our language was the Hebrew, but we were brought over here, all right? And that's even, I can read that to you, that scripture there. Give me a second here. About the slave ships, because most people don't know it's in the Bible though. All of our history is in the Bible.
Thank you, God. I needed this. Somebody just hit me in my face while ago. Punched me in my face.
It'd be all right, bro. Hey, the Lord recompense everything.
I'm trying to think. I'm saying I didn't react because 3 reasons. The number 1 reason, I swear to God I didn't feel it. But it don't look like I just got down fighting right.
Right.
That's how I motherfucker felt. If I would have felt some type of shit, it would have been on. I ain't feel shit. Then I ain't gonna lie, I gotta be honest. I know I was in the wrong.
Right.
I went to jail and I left some product with some people I wasn't supposed to, and they did it. And I'm basically trying to say I don't owe the man the money, man.
Right.
Hypothetically, it was in my possession. I got to be responsible.
Yeah. Well, you know, don't worry about all that. Let me read this to you, though. This is about the slave ships. The slave ships is in the Bible. Most people don't know, all right? So right here it says Deuteronomy 28:68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. And it ain't talking about ancient Egypt because we already experienced that captivity. It's talking about bringing us, into here in America, right back into captivity again. And it says, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. And that's slavery with it. That's experiencing that, right? The Southern Kingdom coming over here in that transatlantic slave trade. See? And I can read. I'm gonna read one more too.
Yeah. Thank you, God. I swear, I ain't gonna lie. I feel like I need to stand my ground now as a man.
All right, so that's over with now. You gonna go back. You are gonna start the trouble, man.
Right. You talking about phone got no money by the night? It's going up. Basically, gonna try and put his hands on me again or something like that. But this time, I'm not gonna lie. Now, the first time, and I'm only reason I stayed home because my big homie told me to stay home. But now, the nigga just try to dry his nuts on me. I gotta drop my nuts. That shit ain't about to fly.
But, hey,
my bad. Yeah.
No,
Lord,
you good. You good, man.
I can't do it right now, boy. I ain't gonna lie. I feel too disrespected, bro.
Hey, no, hey.
I gotta
handle
that.
Stay out of trouble, man.
Yeah.
Stay out of trouble, man.
And this is fucked up. This is driving. I'm dead.
Alright, so let me see here. Let me go back. So I'll read this anyway, just for the camera. So 22nd, I wasn't at the top of the chapter, I think. Isaiah 22nd chapter, right? Just to finish off my point, we'll go back. So it says, behold, the Lord Yahweh will carry thee away with a mighty captivity, and will surely cover thee. He will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a large country. Now it's talking about what? On those slave ships, right? You pull up the slave ship picture, and they packed in there, right? People say packed like sardines, right? But these things are in the scriptures that most people don't know. What's going on, brother? All right.
Where the ECU store at?
You said what now?
ECU store.
You talking about like the clothing store?
Yeah, on the store.
I think it's right down this next street. You see this corner right here to your left.
All right.
It should be on your right side. Yep. It says he will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a large country. There shalt thou die, and the chariots the chariots of thy glory. Talking about the we'll just say so-called spaceship, but call the chariots in the Bible. There's other terms too. All right. Of thy glory shall be the shame of thy Lord's house. Okay? Even that's what it's over it was. Let's go right down there. Alright, as long as you know where you're going, maybe you want to talk about this. Other people want to talk about that. I ain't know what time people do. Okay? So about drugs and stuff. I ain't got nothing to do with that. Alright? So anyway, it says I will drive thee from thy station, shall he pull thee down. And this is where we are right now. Like I said, 3 and 8, we are yet there in our captivity. We have been scattered for a curse and reproach and subject to neighbor. Yeah? It clearly shows you that you're not free. So let me go back to where I was though. I'm gonna get Lamentations 4 on the screen. Alright, chapter 4, verse 9. They that be slain for the sword are better than they that be slain for hunger. Of these kind of way, stricken through for once of the fruits of the field. Right? Explain to somebody who's very hungry, emaciated, okay? And those things bring forth disease. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people, right? Which has happened in times past, right? The women have eaten their children, okay? Because of the great famine, because of the sieges that were happening, okay? It's going to happen again here in America, right? Both men and women, children all together, right? It says in Ezra that the men, right? I thought my camera stopped. I didn't see the time. But it says men are going to get sent to war and shall die because of the war and for the famine. And then the women are going to be left by themselves. So what's going to happen? They're going to have to fend for themselves. And the average woman is not going to come out of her house when chaos is happening. You got to think about it. It's going to be chaos everywhere. You got to get to a grocery store. You're probably not going to get no products. If any product are there, you have to come out on the street where it's going to be all out chaos happening. Ain't no woman about to come out of the house, whether she got kids or not. You know what's going to happen? She's going to eat those children, just like the scripture says she's going to. Just like happened in times past. Okay? And it talks about where it says people were selling Donkeys. Let me see if I can find that. Asses head. Okay. Um. Yeah, it doesn't want to come up. Now it doesn't want to come up all of a sudden. Let's see if I can find it here. All right. That wasn't it. Let's see if I can find it here. I'm gonna find it though. Matter of fact, let me use this other book. Cause I'm in the blue letter, so I already know how hard it is. Blue letter. Okay. All right. So go book. Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna Google it. Because it ain't gonna take it there. Right?
250. Did they say anything?
Okay, there it is. I was gonna say 1 Kings 6, but I was wrong. 2 Kings 6, but I knew it was in Kings though. See if I can find this account here, right? Yep, and check out what this says. The siege of Samaria. This is the subheading. The siege of Samaria. Cannibalism. See that? Matter of fact, let's see if we can get a simple on the word cannibalism. All right? Cannibalism is the act of consuming all or part of an individual of the same species of food. An example, we're not about to read about, but example we're talking about, human. All right? Well, we actually did read about that, Lamentations 4 and 9. That was human cannibalism. Women eating their children, all right? Siding their children means to boil, to bake, to cook their children and eat them, all right? Though historically burdened by complex social taboos and associated with survival, psychopathology, or ritualistic practices in humans is a surprisingly widespread ecological phenomenon found across the animal kingdom, all right? When you talk about animals, we talk here we go. I'm glad I jumped down. See, types of human cannibalism. When studied in the context of human history and anthropology, cannibalism, also called anthropophagy, is usually categorized into specific forms. Endocannibalism, the consumption of members of one's own social group, tribe, or family. Historically, this was often practiced in mortuary rituals out of reverence, grief, or the belief that the deceased power or spirit will be passed on to the living. So that's going on. But there you go. It says consumption of members of one's own social group, tribe, or family, right? And so the next one we have here is exocannibalism, the consumption of enemies or individuals outside one's own social group. So you're going to have people of the same nationality eating each other. You're going to have people of different nationalities eating each other, all right? All these women like to wrap around looking pretty. They're going to be wanting covered up, all right? They're not going to want to shoot none of their body, okay? Because they might get taken or they might get eaten. Or both, all right? It says this was typically done during warfare, you see that? Either to terrorize enemies, demonstrate dominance, or ritually absorb the strength of the defeated. Survival, there you go, survival cannibalism. The consumption of human flesh strictly for survival during times of extreme starvation, such as during famines, sieges, or catastrophic accidents. Examples given, shipwrecks or plane crashes. Right? Which those things, I believe some of those things have happened there. Okay? But beautiful. Let me read the other one. Pathological cannibalism. Cannibalism committed by individuals suffering from severe psychological disorders or sadism. Yeah, because you have these people that are into the occult. All right? Cult and occult are two different things. All right? The word cannibal originates from the Spanish word cannibal. All right? A cannibal. All right? It's basically the same. A variation of the Taino word, or for the Carib people, an indigenous group of the Caribbean, which those were Israelites, the Taino, all right? It says Christopher Columbus, Cristobal Colon, brought back tales of man-eating tribes and the term quickly became globally synonymous within human consumption. Yeah, but that's because when the tribes came over here, they were going off, all right? Like we dealing with the tribe of Issachar, so-called Mexicans, okay? You know, doing all kind of ritualistic tribes and sacrificing, human sacrifices and stuff like that. They were going off, all right? While there is archaeological evidence of prehistoric cannibalism, consuming human flesh carries severe biological risks. Most notably, the consumption of human nervous tissue led to the spread of voodoo, a fatal neurodegenerative disease caused by prions among the Fore people of Papua New Guinea, right? And then it goes into animal cannibalism, which we're not going to get into. But I'm going to go back to this definition where it says survival cannibalism. That's important, though. It says the consumption of human flesh strictly for survival during times of extreme starvation, such as during famines, sieges, or catastrophic accidents. All right, now, if we go over here to where my page is at. Okay. And we're going to go back to that account. We might actually end there. I'm not going to be here too much longer. Come on. All right, let me get out of here. We're going to go to 2nd Esdras. See if I can find what I'm looking for. All right, 2nd Esdras to the Apocrypha. I think what I'm looking for is 16. I know there's another one that we mentioned. I believe that's in 15, where we talked about the men dying by being sent to war, and the widows by themselves and stuff like that. 2nd Esdras 15 and 16. Start at 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and it's close. Okay? No one knows the day, but it's close. It says, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and sword in their hand. See that? Going right off of that definition that we read there. Okay? Right? Cannibalism. See? People going at each other's necks for what? As it says down further in the scriptures, right? In verse 19, we're going to read down into it. It says, and what's the modern day swords? Guns and things of that nature, right? People, you know, and it says that in Matthew 24:12, love of many shall wax cold, the world wax cold is cycle. This is what you're seeing slowly, people progressively worse, people going to this cycle state, going at each other's necks. And then what happens once, food insecurity sets in? They're not just going to be deleting people for the sake of deleting, they're going to delete people for the sake of food, okay? It says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. See that? Because of all the chaos going on, because of martial law, because of lockdowns, because of curfews, because of diseases, all these different types of things that will be going on all at once in Babylon, here in America. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. See that? These are the type of things that are going to be happening. Okay? Let's see if I can find the other one here by way of this chapter. I believe it's here. Or it's in the next chapter or something. Or the previous chapter. This goes down to the middle. Let's just give it out. Right? Which is in the next chapter, chapter 16. Yep. 2nd Esdras 16 and 17. Woe is me, who shall deliver me in those days? In what days? It's time for living now, known as Jacob's trouble. That's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. The economy is going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. As we mentioned earlier, all right? How the economy is jacked up, how the purchasing power of the dollar is weakening, and so on and so forth. You got war and famine, you got pestilences, diseases, right? You got earthquakes happening in diverse places. All these things are what the Lord said would happen before his return. See? And he says that what? All these are the beginning of sorrow. Like it says here in verse 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings. The beginning of, there you go right here, famine and great death. All right? Deletion as well as famine being their way of deletion, because famine brings death. Famine and great death. The beginning of wars All right, we see those things happening. Wars and rumors of wars, right? That's part of the prophecy. And the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. You see that? What shall I do when these evils shall come? What shall I do when these evils shall come? Trust in the Lord Yahweh Shah. Behold, famine and plague, there it is again, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a mimic. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. And going back to what we read in earlier in Revelation chapter 6, right? It says, behold, victuals shall be sold good cheap on earth, food, right? That they shall think themselves to be in good case. Yeah, you've been lied to. Oh, gas is gonna come down, food is gonna come down, this is gonna come down. Meanwhile, everything's getting worse and worse and worse. You see? They get on the screen, they lie to you, all right, to tell you America's gonna be made great again. The Bible says, and now all they're gonna do is continue to lie to you until they can bring out their new system. See? Their digital system, all right? Their CBDCs, which stands for central bank digital currencies. Their MOTB, mark of the beast, microchip, all these different things. They're going to continue lying to you because that's what they're supposed to do, all right? It says, behold, victuals shall be sold good cheap upon earth, and they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then, see, when they think everything's, honky-dory, right? Even then shall evils grow upon earth. Sword, famine, and drink. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. See that? And the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Which I guess by the time I will go this will be the next day. So if you go back, if you did see it, there was I haven't done one in a while, but a helpful hints and info, right? Where it was a famine. It wasn't a global famine tracker. I'm gonna actually go and see if I can find one of those. But it was one for America, all right? I forget the name of it now. What was it called? I forget the name. Something monitor. I had to go back and try to find it, man. But yeah, but you can, see the severity of the famine in each state, even down to the county, man. Okay? And America has been experiencing crazy weather patterns, all right? Rivers that are, slowly drying out. And part of that is because of the data centers sucking up the water to cool off the system, okay? So that's doubling down on the drought, okay? And so you have the weather that also plays into the drought. So this is what you have as a real life experience. And that plays into what? The crops being shortened. And then on top of that, as we talked about the Strait of Hormuz, okay, diesel trucks and all these different things, okay? So they also play into what? That famine, okay? And the Lord says what? Many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. And the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. But what did we just read in Lamentations 4? It's better to die by the sword than by hunger, because these kind of ways. Famine, hunger is a very, very slow, very painful death. See? But versus you just being sent straight back to the spirit. See? That's a quick death. You get straight back to the spirit world. Alright? And the dead shall be cast out as dung. There's no time to cry over anybody, no time for a wake, no time for a funeral, alright? Because it's going to be survival mode. And there shall be no man to comfort them. There you go. For the earth shall be wasted, see? And the city shall be cast down. Chaos everywhere, see? There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it, the farmers mainly. The trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? All right, the workers, all right? They have these things, they have people that, ISCAR did a lot of that. I remember because I did it with them, going to the, sweet potatoes and all these other stuff like that, all right? Cotton fields and all these different things, all right? These are well, that's cotton, you can't eat cotton, but, potatoes and sweet potatoes, all these type of other things that come from the earth. So if someone picks them up, all right, loads them up, pay the workers, they take it to wherever, sell it off, however they have that exchange, gets to the factory sends it to the truck sends it to the stores. But all these things are being stricken by one closure, the Strait of Hormuz, see? And then you have the fertilizer that also comes from the Strait of Hormuz, which 70% of the farmers are not receiving. It plays into the famine, the weather, right? Extreme weather plays into the famine, right? That drought, the drying up of the rivers, the data center plays into that drought, that famine, see? It all plays into one place, crops. Plays into the famine. And the Lord said that many are going to die from the famine. So that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice. Before the city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field your idol son from the thick groves and the clefts of the rocks. As in an orchard of olives upon every tree, there are left 3 or 4 olives. Or as when a vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek to be vineyards. Even so, in those days, there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. You see, people still going house to house trying to raid each other. Your best friend you grew up with, your next door neighbor, all right, trying to delete you and your family because they need food for them and their family. See, a lot of people are going to die because a lot of people are going to die for famine. A lot of people are going to beat people's food. Cannibalism. See, it says, and the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travel through. So if anything is growing, nobody's going to be working those fields. Nobody's going to be bringing these things to where they need to be. Once again, pointing to what? The famine, because the Lord is not lying when he says there's going to be a mass famine and many people are going to die from it. Okay? The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. In the wars shall the bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. See that? And we start to see the very severe signs of these things that the Lord, has prophesied about, right, through his prophets. So let's go back over here. We're going to start to wrap it up in a second. I got to read that definition again. It says survival cannibalism, the consumption of human flesh strictly for survival during times of extreme starvation, such as during famines, sieges, or catastrophic accidents. See? So let's go back over here, and actually I can go over here. It's fine. I thought I pulled something up in the blue letter. Oh yeah, that's 2 Kings. Yep, 2 Kings 6. We're gonna read that, and we'll probably call it. If I can get back. Let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna just have to go back up again. Bear with me. All right, we're gonna go to 2 Kings chapter 6. All right, because I did say I was gonna read that. 2 Kings chapter 6. And we're gonna read this account here. Something that really happened, just like we read in Lamentations 4. That really happened in times past. Those things are going to come back to America in a very horrible, very great way, very unsuspecting way. All right? So 2 Kings 6:25. We're going to read this, and then we're going to call it. Yeah, because that's what drove us over there to the word cannibalism. So the siege of Samaria, which was talking about, Samaria is talking about the northern kingdom, all right? Or the area of the northern kingdom. And then it says cannibalism. 2 Kings 6:24. And it came to pass after this, that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his hosts and went up and besieged Samaria. And there was a great famine in Samaria. And behold, they besieged it, until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and the 4th part of a calf of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. So they would eat donkey's head and bird you. Okay? These are real accounts. Matter of fact, let me see if I can change the AMP in verse 25. Now there was a great famine in Samaria, and they besieged it until a donkey's head was sold for 80 shekels of silver, and a 4th of a calf of dove's dung for 5 shekels of silver. See that? See what the NLT reads. So this is what people were doing. They were eating donkey's heads and bird meat because there was a famine. And the Lord's going to make the famine in America worse than that. We're at the point where people are going to be eating each other all over again, okay? Let me get down here in the NLT. As a result, there was a great famine in the city. The siege lasted so long that a donkey's head sold for 80 pieces of silver, and a cup of dove's dung sold for 5 pieces of silver. One day, as the king of Israel was walking along the wall of the city, a woman called to him, "Please help me, my lord the king." He answered, "If the Lord Yahweh doesn't help you, what can I do? I have neither food from the threshing floor nor wine from the press to give you." But then the king asked, "What is the matter?" She replied, "This woman said to me," so he was like, "Hey, I can't help you out, but you know what? Tell me your problem anyway." "This woman said to me, 'Come on, let's eat your son today, then we will eat my son tomorrow.' So we cooked my son and ate him. Then the next day I said to her, 'Kill your son so we can eat him.' But she has hidden her son." So this lady was like, "You know what? We got 2 children here. Why don't we eat yours today so we can live through this, and then tomorrow we eat mine. And also live another day. We can keep going." So she agreed, ate her son. Like, if anything, okay, don't you think you should have ate her son first? Because she gave up the idea, right? Well, let's eat your son first. You came with the idea, but no. She hearkened to the idea and ate her own son first. And then the woman that came with the idea, when it's time to eat her son, she hid him. Or her, whatever, because it doesn't specify whether it's a boy or girl. She hid her child. Okay? But these were the type of things that were going on in the famine. So we cooked my son and ate him. Then the next day I said to her, kill your son so we can eat him. But she has hidden her son. When the king heard this, he tore his clothes in despair. And as the king walked along the wall, the people could see that he was wearing burlap under his robe next to his skin. May God strike me and even kill me if I don't separate Elisha's head from his shoulders this very day. The king vowed because he had prayed for, no rain, all right? No rain, which brought, that drought going forth that famine, okay? So we're not going to get too much deeper, which that's the end of the chapter anyway. But yeah, I want to read that last one, account, because we did mention it, all right? But this is what we see happening right on this world stage, okay? Where a great famine is coming, all right? And, the Lord prophesied about it. He had a prophet report, so, and we see it on the horizon, but I'm going to leave it at that. Lord, we do edify, because it's all praise, honor, glory to our power. Hashem, Shai, Hashem, Kashira, kings of honors, the apostles, the bishops, the elders, the millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be, wherever you may be, keep your faith, Yasharallah, increase your faith, increase your faith, increase your faith, will, the edify, Shalom, Baba Chayim, Baba Rock, Thumb, Wa, Ababa Ball. The next time you say, Shalom.